Are you ready to read the next chapter?
I am. And this one, actually, we go back to London, and we start with Dr. Pogue.
Okay, and so what is this chapter of CoronaStorytime called?
It's called All in Good Time.
Okay.
Which will make sense as we read.
All right.
Dew, which is beautiful as it settles over an English meadow, had a different effect on the limestone city buildings. It made them slick to the touch and added a slight shine. Within minutes, the condensation formed in rivulets on the stone walls, gathering the previous day's soot as it trickled down in minute, running mascara tears. Dr. Edmund Pogue took note of this, as he often did, as he made his way back home from his morning constitutional. What intrigued him was the competition between order and chaos, and how the simple reaction to temperature change of the buildings and air and the relationship of humidity and gravity caused the building walls to self-clean. Well, to some extent. But over time, the cycle of day and night, cooling and heating, caused the buildings to become cleaner, less chaotic, interesting and strange. As Edmund neared the repurposed warehouse, he saw a figure standing in the entrance. As he approached, it became clear it was Miss Sarah Slate, returned from dinner and the tour of the laboratory the night before. She was staring at the granite stone of the building, completely obsessed with what she was studying. She was dressed as simply as the previous day, a light women's jacket over a checked cotton dress. She wasn't wearing one of those fashionable hoop skirts, thank goodness, since it was clear that she wanted to revisit the laboratory. She was using her finger to dam up a rivulet of the condensation, then reroute it to another path. Was she thinking of the struggle between order and chaos, Edmund wondered? Or was she off on some other tangent completely? "Good morning, Miss Slate." She simply turned without hesitation and replied, "Dr. Pogue, last night at dinner you offered a continued discussion on piston compression and the theory of multi-stage steam engines. I am here for that discussion." Normally, one would be taken aback by such brusqueness, but just one dinner with Miss Slate is all it took for Edmund to learn her ways. He was neither surprised nor put off. "Now would be excellent. I am expecting to complete some analysis today and start some new work, but that can wait for a short time. Allow me to let you in." At that, Edmund produced a sizable key ring covered with a jumble of keys of varying proportions. He guided one of the largest into the door lock and turned. The two of them were greeted with the most satisfying sound of turning tumblers and sliding latches. With a push, the heavy wooden door groaned on its iron hinges as it swung open. "After you," Edmund offered, and Sarah walked in without hesitation. Sarah entered the granite-walled hallway that ran for approximately 100 feet straight ahead from the entrance. On its right were a number of archway openings for domestic rooms, such as a kitchen and a sitting room. But the prize for Sarah was at the end of the hallway, the door leading to the well-publicized tower laboratory. She could not hold back her enthusiasm. She walked as quickly as she could without running to the far door. There, she opened the door herself and stepped out into the landing within its tower. The look on her face was as if she had found a new home. She surveyed the tower laboratory, and it was all she could do not to sprint down the stairs. Despite her being there just the night before, her eyes grew large, and she just took it all in as Dr. Pogue caught up with her. "Grand, isn't it?" Edmund asked, seeing it through her eyes. "Go on. I'll be right with you." As Sarah descended the stairs, Edmund turned. As expected, Yin was quietly waiting behind him, holding a rosewood serving tray, bearing a silver tea set and a china cup. She smiled delicately. "I have your Earl Grey, Doctor. The usual, 2 lumps and a splash of milk." "Thank you, Yin. That would be perfect." After a slight pause, he added, "You may want to ask Miss Slate if she would like something." Yin nodded acceptance of the request, backed away a step, and turned towards the kitchen to retrieve a second teacup. Edmund gave Sarah a greater amount of his morning time than he originally intended. As with most conversations regarding high-pressure systems, the mathematics were straightforward enough, and he covered them in the first half hour or so. But the comparison of the theoretical and the practical was the fascinating part for both of them. What caused pressure leakage, mechanical failure, long-term corrosion? How can engine dimension scaling, multi-piston staging, dry steam reciprocation, and any other considerations be employed to maximize temperature energy conservation into mechanical energy? How could the materials used for the boiler, engine, and drive chain affect output? Now these topics were interesting and entertaining. Near 10 a.m., Yin descended the stairway and approached Edmund, even though he and Sarah were deep in conversation and layering pencil-mark mathematics over pencil-mark mechanical drawings on a stack of paper that they had slid back and forth between the two of them. Doctor? Yes, Yin? I wanted to tell you that 2 delivery men are here with 2 crates. Should I have them brought down? Odd, I wasn't expecting any deliveries. Yes, please have them brought down. In a few minutes, Edmund and Sarah cleared one of the laboratory tables. The delivery men placed the 2 crates on it and withdrew after Yin provided them with a nice compensation for their efforts. One of the crates looked slightly damaged in transit. On top of it were the shipping instructions and an attached letter. Dr. Pode removed and opened the letter, punctuating his reading of the complete letters silently by reading the key phrases out loud. Delightful. This is from Chief Inspector Erasmus Drake. Contents are mechanized mining tools. Interesting. E-packs, electrified power, automated crawling transport. Okay. 2 crates containing, in her enthusiasm, both to help Edmund and through her own curiosity. While Edmund was reading, Sarah took up a nearby pry bar and started to open the top of the slightly damaged crate. One corner came up. Yin appeared at the top of the stairs again and swept smoothly down the stairs. Doctor, a telegram has arrived. She handed the envelope to Edmund. Edmund ripped open the envelope without hesitation, knowing that in his business, telegrams were only sent if there was an urgent communication. Unfortunately, the top line of the telegram was a formally worded expression of regret and defense from the transmission conglomerate. Partial or garbled transmission at Calais-Dover transfer link, retransmitting at earliest opportunity. Curious, he said. I love puzzles. I bet I can make a good guess at the original transmission. And he read out loud the miscommunication. Dr. Edmund Pogue, Shadwell, Lund, 8 Arrest Nest, Extreme L. Drake. Well, it's also from the Chief Inspector, and it's partially garbled. Let's see. Edmund turned his back to Sarah and ran his left-hand fingers through his brown hair while staring at the telegram. Sarah was not interested in the jumbled word games. Pry bar in hand, she returned to the task of opening the crate. She took on a second top corner. Pry bar in place, she pulled back down, using her weight to force the corner up. In an instant, the e-pack inside muscled its way out, being even scarier by being crippled. It crawled out like a ghoul from the grave, its broken legs working spasmodically while its 2 good legs dragged it forward as if going for its liberator. Sarah didn't scream, but instead stood catatonically at the sight of the diminutive brass monster. Edmund spun around in time to see Yin grab the empty crate, flip it upside down, and slap it over the crawling e-pack just inches from the feet of Miss Slate. Then, just as quickly, she jumped onto the box, standing, to hold it prisoner again. The e-pack reacted by being caught again and began poking holes through the side of the crate with its 2 good legs. It took quite a while for Edmund to capture the e-pack, calm down Sarah, who didn't like being startled, and realized that Erasmus was trying to warn Edmund of extreme danger, or something of that nature, with the telegram. However, Edmund did note Yin's quick response and cool demeanor. Perhaps there was more to Yin than he had previously suspected. The rest of the letter, which Edmund read out loud for Sarah, explained what Erasmus knew about the switch on the base of the E-Packs and the Chief Inspector's desire to understand how a small mechanism could do so much autonomously with such strength and endurance. Sarah and Edmund looked at each other and knew they had a shared interest. Miss Slate, would you care to be in my employ to investigate this mystery? But of course. Can we start today? Delightful. Just delightful. Now we switch context. Back on the Birkenhair.
Okay.
On the Birkenhair, Erasmus and Sergeant J.B. Fox agreed that the limited size of Erasmus's cabin room was too confining to properly display their various martial skills, both with and without weapons. With swords and pistols tucked under their arms and stuffed in their jacket pockets, they exited the Birkenhair and found a cleared, quiet corner of the airship landing grounds. For the next hour, they both demonstrated their shadow fencing skills, hand-to-hand combat, and pistol handling. Styles were compared and in general admired, although they both agreed that Chief Inspector had a good deal of room for improvement regarding his pistol handling capabilities. The final exchange had the men stripped to the waist, illustrating the pugilistic techniques that they preferred. Gathering their shirts and vests, J.B. said, "That was very instructive. I have enough particulars to proceed forward with planning against the marauders." "All due respect, my dear man, but how can you have enough to make plans? Do you have additional information on how these pirates operate, or their strategy? Can you share with me what kind of battle preparations would make sense?" J.B. smiled. "All in good time. It will be revealed all in good time." Erasmus uncomfortably accepted this answer, but tucked his issue in the back of his mind to think upon later. The two men returned to the Birkenhair to store their armaments. While in the sergeant's cabin, J.B. commented, "My good man, I do believe you didn't reveal everything either. All of your defensive sword postures showed a slight squaring of your hips and shoulders, indicating that you are used to having a second sword or staff in your right hand. You didn't show a two-sword technique. Are you planning to share that with me?" It was Erasmus's turn to smile. "You are very observant. All will be revealed in good time." They both understood the symmetry of the information that they withheld and the understanding of men who highly regard their privacy. At that point, J.B. opened his trunk to place in his sword, and Erasmus spied a complicated wooden slat and canvas mechanism stashed within. "Aha," thought Erasmus, "this military man has even more tricks up his sleeve." Thus endeth All in Good Time.
Well, so I guess this is a good time to say we hope you enjoyed this chapter of Corona Storytime with Drake and McTrowell reading the Bavarian Airship Regatta.
Thank you very much. Next time.
Next time.